Welcome once again to my YouTube channel. My name is Sola John, and if you are yet to subscribe, please just click on the red button and subscribe so you can have access to more of our video. Today I'd like to discuss the topic: is adulthood a scam? Okay, this is trending among young people, Generation Z. In fact, a lady by name Lady sang a song that adulthood is a scam, and I'd like to just address that. Let's get to find out ourselves: is adulthood really a scam? When we talk about adulthood, what exactly do we mean? We're talking of that age beyond adolescence, of being fully grown, of maturity. Okay, age where you take responsibility. Now, by principle of life, there's nothing that remains in babyhood stage. Nothing remains as a baby in life. Everything grows. It's the principle of life. Okay, so a cat will grow, to be a mother cat. A bird will grow to be bigger, lay eggs, and then same thing with human being. So nothing is permitted. Same thing with children. They grow to be adult. Nothing in life is permitted to remain in babyhood stage. So it's a principle of life that whatever is born or whatever comes in young must grow and then become old. So why has it suddenly become an issue? It seems as though we are raising a generation of young people who have not understood what responsibility means. Now, and I'm saying this so that we understand that in childhood is a time to be cared for. In adulthood is a time to care for yourself and to care for others. So a baby has the liberty of feeding, and then being fed. But as the child begins to grow, he or she begins to feed, himself or herself, and that continues until the child learns to fend for himself or herself. So here is the secret. The principle for living a successful adulthood is built in babyhood stage. So when you see people complaining that adulthood is calm, it's a pointer to something, that their babyhood stage did not get the necessary information and experience required to live the adulthood life. And sometimes this is what happens because the adults who raise them have been through a lot of painful experiences and they don't want their children to go through similar experiences, so they indulge them. So they don't teach them the principles of living. So they don't teach them the responsibility that is required. But here is it. Let me give you some instances. The things you do as children that were done for you when you grow up as adult, you may not feel like doing them. And there's nothing wrong with that. As adults, we don't feel like doing things. We do them because we have to do them. We do them because we have responsibility, okay? As adults, you don't feel like waking up from the bed to go to work. But when you remember that you have accepted to do a job, you stand by the fact that you resume at a particular time. As adults, you don't feel like bathing, but when you remember that it's good for your hygiene, you do it. As adults, sometimes you don't feel like brushing, but when you remember that it keeps your mouth fresh and gets you healthy, you do it. As adults, you don't feel like waking up as early as possible to go to your place of work, but when you remember that that's where your salary comes in and you have to pay, or your business, that's where your profit comes in and you have to take care of your basic needs, you know that that's what responsibility means. So adults don't complain because they are responsible. They are responsible. Being responsible means they understand that they are committed to some things and they must give themselves to those things. And they don't necessarily need to be encouraged. They don't necessarily need to be motivated. And that's why some of you, for instance, you can testify that you may not necessarily like the job you did at a particular stage of your life, but you did it all the same because you needed to pay the bill. Some of you may not necessarily, your parents may not necessarily like what they are doing, but because they owe you the responsibility of raising you well, so they get committed to it. That's what adulthood is all about. But if we are complaining, then there's an issue, and I think I need to address some of them. So decisions taken in adulthood, they are taken based on necessity and not pleasure. So you don't take decision as adult because you like it. It's not about pleasure, it's necessity, and it is important. So responsible childhood will make responsible adulthood very important. So if you complain about adulthood, then we need to find out whether you have been denied some useful experiences. So what are helpful tips for adulthood? Planning. Okay, as you get to grow, you get to learn that there's something called planning. Okay, there's a season we call dry season. Okay, there's a season we call rainy season. So there are things we do in dry season, there are things we do in rainy season. In rainy season, we maximize the opportunity to do some farm work, okay, and then we do harvest later. Same thing with life. There are dry season of life, there are rainy season of life. For instance, the time will come in life, you have access to a lot of money. You get to understand that you save. In those days, we call it for rainy days. You save because the day that will come, you may not have access to money again. Okay, a time will come, you have access to a lot of people, like friends, like colleagues. You learn to manage that relationship because the day will come, you will need those relationships. Okay, so planning. As you grow into adulthood, you get to learn that you plan. You plan what you eat, you plan what you wear, you plan where you go, you know, based on your capacity and not based on people's expectation. So it's going to be helpful if you learn more about planning. How do you plan your life? Okay, do you have a personal development plan? Do you have plan for your future? Do you have plan to get married? Do you have plan to raise a family? Do you have plan for vacation? As you have plan, so you prepare for your plan. So, okay, another useful tip is focus. You get to know that you can't be everywhere, you can't do everything. One of the major problems people have in adulthood is distraction. They are pulled here and there by different opinions, by different people, by different thoughts and causes, and then as they are trying to give the whole of their life to that, they soon realize that their energy has been dispelled and they cannot meet up with their basic responsibility. Now that's the major issue. So as you grow into adulthood, focus become an issue. What career do I want to go into? What business do I want to go into? What do I want to do? What do I really want to commit my life into? That focus becomes something that your resources goes into, your time goes into, so you are not pulled everywhere by people who want you to follow them. Then you understand something called boundaries also. You begin to know your limitations. You have strengths, you have weaknesses. Okay, there are opportunities around you, there are threats around you. You begin to learn to know your boundaries. You begin to learn to know that you cannot go everywhere. You cannot do everything. You can't relate with everyone. You begin to even define your own boundary of places you want to go, places you want to be, things you will do, things you will not do. These are helpful tips, okay, for adulthood. You also know that you begin to understand that growth takes time, okay? Nothing grows overnight, and that is why we have pre-puberty stage, we have puberty stage, we have adolescent stage, you know, every stage of life, and for every stage there are things to learn, okay? As you understand that and you maximize the opportunity, sometimes your parent might not be able to teach you those things, or people around you. It's your responsibility to get to learn those things. Growth takes time, change takes time, but it's deliberate and it's conscious, because if you want to grow, there are food you have to eat, there are places you have to go, there are ways you have to exercise yourself, you have balanced diet and all of that. Same thing with life. So as you grow into adulthood, you get to understand that growth takes time. Career-wise, growth takes time. You know, in every area, growth takes time. And when you understand that growth takes time, then you are able to plan yourself to function in that way, so you are not full of anxiety where you want everything to happen overnight, because that on its own is a problem. Then you get to understand also another useful tips: no competition in life. You are in a race all by yourself. Even if you are born twins or you are born triplets, you need to understand that you all came with different destiny, you have different purposes, so you don't want to be like Mr. A or Mr. A wanting to be like you. Once you understand that you are different, you have a race that you are running, and you focus on your race, then you are on your way. No competition in life. And because your success may be my failure, and my failure may be your success. So when you understand that, finally you understand that life is a marathon. Okay, you run the race, not the sprint, so you don't finish it overnight. Some people don't get to make it until past 40, some 50, some 60. We have different races we are running. However, once you have life, there is hope, and you will enjoy your life while you live. What are the principles I like to teach you? First, the principle of work. Work is not a curse. You are made to work, okay? And that's why you discover that when you are overweight, you work out. Work out to be fit. Work exercises the mind, it exercises the brain, it exercises the body, the nerves. So work is not a curse. You work so that you can be productive. You are made to be productive. And so don't see work as a curse. Don't see work as stress. No, see it as pleasure. That's why you need to find out what exactly you are made for, because there's something your personality, your value, your interests and skills in life are made to function in that will give you pleasure. If you don't know that, we conduct psychometric tests through our company career-wise, and then you can do psychometric tests and know what you are fit for. Work is part of life. It's good. God made it so. The Creator made it so. Secondly, value proposition as exchange for money. You must have value before people can give you their money. If you offer no value, nobody gives you money. What people pay for is value. So what value do you carry? Is a principle you need to understand. If you want more money, you increase your value. When you increase your value, more money comes to you. How? By the things you can teach. How? By the things you can do, by the skills that you have, by your connections, by many things. You can increase value in many ways. By the product you offer, by the service you offer. Very, very important. Number 3, investment. Investment is when you put something little somewhere and it yields, compound interest, and it gets bigger. Like you put a yeast inside flour, you see how it rises. That's what investment looks like. If you go to school, it's an investment in yourself. If you learn a skill, it's an investment in yourself. If you know how to create a product, it's an investment. Okay, so investment takes time to yield, but you must invest. If you don't invest, it doesn't yield anything. If you collect rainwater when it rains, then when there's no rain, you have water to use. If you dig a borehole, it's an investment to get water. Okay, if you dig a well, it's an investment to get water. Okay, if you start a company, it's an investment to get profit in days to come. So you need to understand that as adult, it's a principle that works anytime, any day. And the last one I like to talk about, there are more than this, but I'll stop here, is social capital. The people you relate with, you leave an indelible mark on them. What mark do you leave on them? Okay, you build network. Your network is your net worth. Okay, the people you have, who can speak for you? Do you need money to really go into business, or you have enough social capital? Someone can stand for you and say they should give you loan, okay, because he knows you won't default, or someone is able to give you products, okay, that you can sell and make money without you necessarily putting something down. It has to do with your social capital, how you are known, how you are perceived among friends, among neighbors, among colleagues, and all of that. And so as you relate with people, they take note of all these things. With all of this, you enjoy adulthood. Adulthood is meant to be enjoyed and not to be endured, okay? I don't think adulthood is scam. If you put all of these principles into practice, you soon discover that adulthood is not scam. Yes, there are bills to pay, but adulthood is not about bills. It's also about impact. It's about pleasure. It's about traveling to places you need to go to. It's about influence. Adulthood is about living. It's about connection. It's about so many things except scam. I don't think adulthood is scam. But let me see what you think in the comment section. And until I come your way next time, I'm Sola John. And thank you for visiting our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Cheers. Welcome to careerwise.ng, your career solution site. What we do basically is provide assessment for you, coaching for you, recruitment, internship. We have coaches. Orlando is a coach from Brazil, is an international coach. Lara Langham from UK, my humble self, and we have some other coaches from Nigeria. You can go on our website, careerwise.ng, use the contact form and reach out to us. Meet us on Twitter, we are careerwiseng1. Instagram, we are on Facebook. Reach out to us, we are available to help you.